everybody, it's Katie from Ray & Company Face Painting and Body Art and the Raincoat Insiders channel. In this video, we are going to be learning how to do a shamrock crown, I guess you could say, for St. Patty's Day. So let's start out by showing you some of the supplies that I will be working with today for this design so that you have a good sense of kind of the supplies that it will take. And this is a really good, this is an on-the-job design. Depending on this one over here has quite a bit of detail and a lot of different brushes, but it could be definitely simplified. So let's get started with this. These are some extra fun things we'll go over in just a second. Okay, so these are the supplies that we'll be using for this design, along with some solid color paints as well. So I have here the Arty angle brush, which can be picked up at sillyfarm.com. In terms of the other brushes that I have that I'll be using, I have this really awesome Flora Flat 6 brush by Marcelo Bustamante. And then I have a couple of round brushes. They're just your basic round brushes. These are also by Marcella. They're her Blazin' brush line. This is a number 4 and a number 2. And then finally, I have a Pretty Petal brush by Paint Pal. So these are the 5 brushes that I'll be using, that I ended up using for this design. And like I said, it can be simplified if you need to. I love these teardrop sponges, so we will be using those briefly for a base layer. And then I have a basic white and a black. Right now I'm working with Tag Regular White and Tag Regular Black. So I don't know if you guys can see that, but Tag Regular White, Tag Regular Black. So let's set those aside. And then I have 2 one-stroke cakes today. They're both Arty brush cakes, also from Silly Farm. So this one, which is kind of this sort of neon rainbow color, is called Lotus by, again, by Silly Farm, Arty brush cakes. Set that aside. And then I also have this Bright Leaf by Arty brush. So those are the one strokes. Cheap Mr. bottle, you can pick these up, you know, at your local big box store just to activate paint. So we have that. And then I won't be using it on the board today. Ooh, I probably shouldn't even open it. But I have some, I'm getting glitter everywhere. So I have some cosmetic fine loose glitter in green and gold. These are Mama Clown brand glitter. And then I also have these really pretty chunky glitters by American Body Art, and they're called Pixie Paint. They're mixed with like an aloe vera base, and it is cosmetic glitter, but I typically only use these type of chunky glitters on sort of the tweens and teens and adults. But those are some really pretty glitters that could be used for this design. Okay, so now I gotta clean up this board real quick, just because I spilt green glitter all over the place. But no big deal. We'll just bring a baby wipe in here and get that all wiped up. Perfect. Done. Okay, so if you would like to learn a little bit more about different products and sort of how to build up your kit over time, I do have this How to Build Your First Face Painting Starter Kit guide available. You can pick that up at my website, rayfaceart.com/learn. So you can snag that over there. We'll set that aside and then we'll get started, okay? So this design, when I timed it out, took me about 5 minutes and 30 seconds, sort of plus or minus. It was really like the second or third time that I kind of did this. You also have to keep in mind the practice board sometimes makes designs take a little bit longer than they actually would be, just because of dry time sometimes is a little bit slower on the practice boards. And so I think I could shave off the time, but just to give you a reference in real time, because I will be doing it in a little bit slower than real time for the tutorial. Okay, so what we're going to start out with is we're going to start out with a gold base on the eyes here. And so let me switch you over to my paints. So I'm just going to activate some gold, and I'm going to grab a different teardrop sponge. Okay, so my sponge was dry, and I just kind of spritzed my gold paint. This gold happens to be from Graftobian. I have a bunch of different brands in my palette here, but this one is by Graftobian, and it is Madison, Wisconsin based company. So when possible, I like to try to buy products that are local to my area, or at least the US. So, all right, so we're just gonna come in here. I'm gonna go over the eye at this point. Obviously a kiddo would have their eyes closed, but I'm just gonna sponge it on. And when you're sponging on paint, having it a little bit on the drier side will definitely be helpful. Now, I didn't do it in this design, but you could sort of bring it around on the cheekbones just a little bit. If I was doing this design on the job, one of the steps that I would probably eliminate, and it's not necessarily going to save me that much time, but one of the things that I would probably eliminate is, I don't know if you guys can see it, but these little petals here on the side, and I would probably use this holographic chunky glitter, or not holographic. Is this holographic? I don't know. But I would use this opaque chunky glitter in gold and just go along the cheekbones. Now, sometimes if the kiddo is real young, then I will stay away from it. So then I might do something like this, or simply just bring some of this gold down on the cheekbones and maybe add a few little extra elements with a different type of brush. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do the Shamrock in the middle. And I'm going to go ahead and switch back over to my paints. So I am going to go ahead and load up pretty generously. I'm using the Blazing Brush Flora Flat 6. And I'm just going to go ahead and load this up generously with a kind of a darker green. I'm going to spritz my lime green here. And just put the tip of that in there to get a, you can see that I was testing it on myself before. So I will come in here and just kind of blot this. It's a little bit wet, but there we go. And so then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to press it down, and there's one leaf. And then we'll do it again, press it down, there's another leaf. And there we go. A little off center, but you get the idea. And so then to finish that off, you could just grab a number, this is a number 2 round brush, and just grab some of that dark green. And then just do kind of a teardrop like this. Cool? All right, so let's move on to some of the other, we'll clean off some of this stuff at the end here. We'll move on to the Arty brush cakes. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this one that is the bright leaf. I'm going to give it a spritz off camera here. And then I'll take my angle brush and I'm going to pick up most of the colors, but I guess kind of going more on the lighter side. Although I wanted to try doing it a little bit darker. So let's go ahead and pick up more green. for this design and see how that looks. Because it's got some black in here as well. It's either got some black or some really dark green. All right, so we're a little off center, but that's okay. You guys will get the idea. And we will come in here and do a swoop and another swoop. That's the technical term for it. I'm going to go ahead and reload just a little bit more. Not as wet as I would like it. Okay, so we'll come back in here and do this one again. And then we're going to skip a space. I don't know if you guys can tell how I'm doing this, but we're just going to go like this, down a little bit. Now, obviously, you wouldn't be doing this over the eyelids. I don't know if that's obvious or not, but usually when you're on the job, I always have a tendency to do this on these practice boards, but really this all should be shifted up more to be sort of falling above the eyebrows. And you can kind of see that in this one as well. I was a little bit better about it on this side than I was on this side. But, you know, these are just practice boards. They're just kind of meant to block out an idea. So, yeah, definitely don't go as close to the eyelids. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and grab the Lotus Arty Brush Cake. And we are going to go ahead and try. We're going to go ahead and grab more purple than yellow. I kind of want to just show you guys like the difference in looks that you can get with the same products, but just by using maybe a different, oops, I'm sorry, I hit the camera. Okay. Same product, but just using a different side of it. And then you'll get kind of a whole different look to the design. So have fun with it, play around. So this one is going to have a little bit more purple and pink and orange than the other one did. Okay, so we're almost done here. I'm going to go ahead and grab a number 4 round brush. Activate my white paint a little bit more. Starting to run out. I'm going to load this up pretty good. I'm looking for like a creamy consistency. It's a little bit wet, so that's why I'm kind of just working it in, working the paint around to get a little bit more of a creamy consistency. And then what we do is we just come in here and we make some big long teardrops. Now you will probably have to reload a couple different times, and because you're painting over other paint, you might get sort of an undesirable blend, but just kind of play with it and see how many strokes you can get out of one load. And there you go. This is some just basic teardrops. And like I was saying before, if you want to save the step of doing these sort of petals on the side, you could just do sort of some dots that go down and like a little sparkle star. So we'll just put a couple little dots here because I still want to show you how to do the double dip petals. But you could just put some dots here and just kind of bring that around. And then to do a star, we'll add a star over here. You start in the center and flick out, and you just kind of use the tip of your brush, the toe of it, and flick it out. Didn't have quite a crisp load on that brush, but okay. So now we'll go ahead and show you sort of the petal flowers down here on the cheeks. So what you do is you're just going to take that Paint Pal Pretty Petal brush and load it up. Get it nice and loaded, and then you're going to dip the toe of the brush into a contrasting color. So we'll go ahead and do a dark green on this one. I did a lighter green on the other one. But I don't know if you can tell, but I have just kind of a nice load on the tip there. And then if I come back over here, I can show you how it looks in relation to like the lighter green ones. And so then what we do is we just come over here, and similar to the technique that we used up here with the other Flora brush, you really just press it down, press, press, press. So press, 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 press. And then you just kind of get these nice little flower petals, if you will. All right, so now some of the extra little details that you don't necessarily have to do. Now, one of the things that I forgot and probably should have added just right away while I was doing these white strokes is just adding a couple little highlights onto the Shamrock. So we'll just add those in right now. So just something like this. You will get a little bit of green into your white. But that just kind of makes it pop a little bit. And now for some of the nice to have elements. These are some of the things that I would probably skip if my line was long and I didn't have time to spend on it. I just loaded my brush with some green. We'll just do a couple little green dots here. And then finally, we'll go ahead and outline that Shamrock. So now I used a number 4 round brush to do these teardrops here. It would be a little bit hard for me to use this brush, I think, to do the outline on the Shamrock. So I'm going to go ahead and step down one with the number 2. So I'm just off camera, I'm sorry, I'm just loading up some black. And then when you're doing line work, if you have your brush primarily perpendicular to your work surface, you'll have greater control over it. If your brush is at an angle, then you will have wider strokes. So if you're having trouble with line work, outlining things or drawing things, there could be 2 main culprits. One, you could just have some bad brushes. Having quality brushes really makes just a world of difference. I can't even tell you how much difference it makes to have really good brushes. And they don't have to break the bank either. So there we go. We outlined our Shamrock a little bit, and you can tell that I got some green paint on my pinky, but we're gonna go ahead and clean that stuff up anyway. So from here, what was I saying? Brushes, quality brushes really does matter. So if you're having trouble go ahead and get yourself some good brushes, and then keeping it, you know, perpendicular. I would say that those two things are probably the things I would check first if I was troubleshooting, and then go from there. Okay, so let's clean this up. And like I said, if you are interested at all in getting more product recommendations and kind of learning how to build up your kit over time and avoid debt and all that stuff, then snag that buyer's guide on my website. I can't talk and do this at the same time. And it just wiped away all of our little dots. So anyway, that's okay. You guys saw it. I'll wipe this off. There we go. So yeah, again, if you're looking for product recommendations, you can head over to my website, rayfaceart.com/learn, to pick up this How to Build Your First Face Painting Starter Kit. And then also you guys can check me out on Instagram at rayfaceart, where I will sometimes post behind the scenes stuff and pictures of kiddos and on the job snaps as well. So thanks for tuning in to the tutorial, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know by leaving a comment if you would, and we'll catch you on the next one. All right, thanks. Bye.